Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. We're here with an MLB free agency special. And we're also going to talk a little bit about the postseason that happened a month or so ago. I'm here with Isaiah. How are we doing today, man?
What's good? What's going? How y'all doing? Hope y'all had a great Thanksgiving. And let's get talking. First and foremost, we'll talk about the Atlanta Braves. Congratulations to them. They saved us all from
Atlanta
seeing the
sports
Houston
are
Astros
saved.
win a championship.
Atlanta sports are saved. Congratulations to Freddie Freeman, who's been working real hard with that organization to get them where they are now. Um, Shout out Ian Anderson. I own one of your hats. Shout out Frankie Pizzo for that. Um, but yeah, I mean, definitely baseball is one of those sports to where in the playoffs it almost doesn't matter how good your team is. It depends on how hot you are in that moment. And the Braves proved both of us wrong. I mean, we both had them going out in the first round against the Brewers.
Milwaukee.
They handled the Brewers. They got through the Dodgers, maybe with some luck. I think if Max Scherzer is able to pitch later in that series, it's a maybe a different outcome, but you can't think of it like that. And then I had Braves in six personally, but yeah, I thought it was a great series. I mean, this postseason wasn't. It didn't have a lot of like stunning finishes because there were a lot of games that were just blowouts. Like if you
Over by
won,
the
you won.
over by the fourth inning.
Yeah,
Games just
if you won, you won by a lot. If you lost, you knew you lost right away. So
so
yeah, but I would not the greatest postseason for MLB, but it was definitely a good one.
I mean, Atlanta was the most interesting team to watch in the postseason. They were the most fun team to watch. They had a great lineup. I think the most underrated person in this is the GM who decides to go all in for it after they lose their best player. Because I just couldn't believe they'd be good without the best player on their team. Getting back Acuna is probably going to raise expectations to a level too high, but luckily this was their window and they took advantage of it. Like Washington, I mean, to trade for all the outfielders and then they all play a big part in the postseason is just crazy. It goes to show you it's a team game. Like not the star players usually don't carry you to the championships. You need a good, well-rounded roster. A good comeback story for Jorge Soler. I mean, he was hitting bombs. He hit a home run in the World Series that I haven't seen a ball go there since like the Albert Pujols home run. I was reminded of, but yeah, he hit a home run and we've seen a lot of games recently in Houston, so we've seen a lot of home runs there the last few years in the playoffs. But that one was probably by far the most impressive. And as for Houston, love to see him lose. The core is finally going to lose another piece, and finally this run is probably over. We've seen everybody get back just for Justin Verlander. We'll get to that later, but great. I mean, weird playoffs, lots of upsets, and I will say the biggest luck that Atlanta got is that the Dodgers won 107 games,
Yeah,
108 games,
106.
and they were the wild card team. So they played the Giants in the second round. So like two teams that probably if they had to beat both of them if the bracket was ordered by record and not by division wins and wild card. Who knows if they get there? But they took advantage of a weakened Dodgers team, and that's what the playoffs are about. I mean, I can't be mad. They won, and then they practically they assaulted everybody with their offense all off season,
Oh
all
yeah,
postseason. So that was impressive. That was impressive.
yeah. Their offense was definitely deep during that run. But all right, let's get into free agency. Let's start the 2022 season. We're just gonna go over like 10 to 12 names. Um, and I think you have to start here with Carlos Correa. There's talks that the Tigers are massively into him. They want. I mean, I can see them being because the Tigers can throw a $320 million deal out there for him.
I think
Because
that's easier to start with. Like the reports are out there. Like the Tigers are going to probably be like this year San Diego from a couple years back when they started their rebuild when they went and got Eric Hosmer. So like, who do you think has the most money to spend? So we know the Yankees usually spend money. We know that I think the Red Sox might be trying to spend some money, and we know the Tigers got a lot of money in the AL. So I'd say those are the usual suspects in the AL, along with Houston. In the NL, now we always know now the Dodgers have a couple players on their roster that are actual free agents. A couple pitchers. We know Verlander. We know Scherzer. That's going to be, and they're both in an advanced age. But we know the Dodgers. They spend money. They like to win championships. That's in the NL. I'm sure the Padres are gonna keep looking like I'm sure they're gonna want to go get another piece because they got to. They're the way with all the money they've spent and what they've got in their roster, they've got to go get the last piece. Interesting name I'll just throw out there before we get to the players is like a pitcher, like a Marcus Strowman. I think that fit a need that they need. And then who else in the LA you think will spend some money? The Giants maybe they have a pending free agents and they look like they're trying to break through now after a comeback year.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm looking at payrolls right now, and I mean, you really just look at like the bottom teams. I mean, you can scratch them out. Like the Cubs are tanking, Diamondbacks are tanking, Pirates don't know what they're doing, Miami doesn't know what they're doing. So, like, I mean, I think like the bottom half of the league are the teams that can throw the most money out there. Obviously, like you have the difference between like the Orioles only paid $19 million in salary this year.
Do you think they'll
Meanwhile,
start? I mean, some of their young farm players are starting to come through. You think they'll start trying to throw some money and get some players in there? They're
I
not.
mean,
They've been burned, and the Chris Davis contract's over.
yeah, and I mean, you have to take a page out of the Braves book. I mean, they signed Acuna once they knew he was the guy. They signed him, locked him up for 10 years, 100 million. If he waited, he would have gotten a 10-year, 350 million.
And
But
then we saw that with we recently saw that with the infielder for the Rays. I can't think of his name right now.
Wander Franco.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you spot the talent and you know that they're going to be special, lock them up early. You can get them for a cheaper deal. And I mean, you can almost attest the Braves to that because they did it with Albies too. They even got him for cheaper. So they got two core guys to sign long-term deals that really aren't
make it
that.
easier to handle the salary cap in the
Yeah,
future.
so now they can go out now if they gave Acuna that $300 million deal, they're probably out on Freddie Freeman right now. But a testament to them. I mean, I just think the Tigers, their second half of the season was actually pretty good. Like I think they had a winning record in the second half. So they might be trying to take that momentum they saw and all the positives they saw from there and try to uplift it with a Carlos Correa. I think the Giants could be in play also. They don't like tanking that much either. What's going to be interesting is how the Nationals handle Soto because he's coming up on free agency. And if they didn't pay Bryce Harper because they thought it was too much money, you're paying Juan Soto more than that.
More or the same. Like those, like he'll demand a 12-year, $300+ million contract. The same, but like he's won the championship. He helped their team win the championship, so they might feel sentimentally more tied to him. So that like we're going to see with Freddie Freeman probably.
But yeah, like Carlos Correa, like I could see him also going. Obviously, like both of us are Yankees fans, so like I would personally prefer Carlos Correa over Corey Seager.
I agree. Seager's got too many injury concerns.
Too many injuries. Carlos Correa is a lockdown Gold Glove caliber shortstop. And I just think he's an overall better player than Seager. I know, like the things we'll get into the positives for Seager when we get to him in a minute, but I mean, I just think he would fit perfectly. I mean, I think he has the attitude to fit in New York and like be able to handle everything that comes with that. But yeah, I mean, I just think he's a great player. He deserves to have a 10-year. And the only question for the Yankees is, can you afford another massive deal? Because you already got Stanton, you already got Cole and Judge. This is his last year on his contract. So
if they sign Carlos Correa, that means they're not re-signing Aaron Judge. And that's kind of what they'd have to accept because that's what you kind of do when you bring in make the Stanton trade. Judge's age is a little concerning because he's old, he's injury concerns, and you can't have $4 or $5 $300 million contracts on the books. You can because they do make the money, but my other question: so how would you rate the shortstop
and stuff?
Yeah. How would you rate the shortstops available? Because I think I would prefer Trevor Story over Seager as well.
You see, if you look at Trevor Story's splits from when he's playing in Colorado versus when he's playing anywhere else, it's a massive drop off. It's different than Nolan Arenado because Nolan Arenado, his numbers stayed the same everywhere he went. Trevor Story's like all of his good numbers are at home in Mile High. So it's kind of drastic to see his numbers when he goes elsewhere. And Colorado's a notorious pro hitter place to
Yeah,
play.
but they said the same thing about DJ LeMahieu a few years back, and
Yeah, but his numbers weren't as like drastic, and also he's not a very big like power guy. Trevor Story relies on some of his power to hit home runs and all of that.
And that can be helped, and I can see, yeah, definitely. I see what you're saying, and like I don't know, that's always a question with guys from that come from Colorado, so you never know. And then the other infielders, we got Freddie Freeman, corner infielders, Chris Bryant.
Well, we still got to talk Corey Seager.
Oh, you want to go back to Corey Seager? All right, go ahead.
I mean, I think this is who the Yankees are going to sign.
You think for sure?
I think so because lefty bat. Yankees need a lefty hitter. I think they'll do like 2 years at shortstop and then move him to third because they have two highly touted shortstop prospects in Volpe and Peraza, something like that. That they're gonna want to get in the MLB in the next probably 2 years. So so I think because if you sign Corey Seager, you're kind of giving up. Not Corey Seager. If you sign Carlos Correa, you're kind of giving up on those guys because Carlos Correa is gonna be your shortstop for however long. But yeah,
I mean, you never know with shortstop though.
Yeah, I mean, Corey Seager, he's a better he gives us more contact ability. I think that's the things the Yankees are looking for: contact, athleticism, and speed. I think are their top, and starting pitching, obviously. But when it comes to position players, those first three things are what they're really looking for, I think. And I think he fits two of those things: lefty and contact hitter. And he's a little athletic, but with his injuries, that's kind of crippled him a little bit. But let's say what you guys say on Corey Seager, and we can.
Actually, no, you're right. So before we move on to the corner infielders, let's predict some. Let's predict these four interior infielders. So Seager, Correa. We'll put Baez in there, and with those stories. So I'll predict. I think Seager's going to resign. I think he's going to resign. I think the Dodgers are going to keep him. I think they'll keep him. I think Correa. I feel like he might resign too. I think he might stay too, but I think he's more likely to leave. I think he's going to Detroit. I think Detroit's going to toss him a ridiculous amount of money. When you hear those rumors that there's a team with cap space looking to toss ridiculous amount of money, that's how Bryce Harper ended in Philly. That's how Manny Machado and Hosmer ended in San Diego. You know what it is. They're gonna throw the money at the best player. And as for Story, I think he stays in the NL West so he can play some more games in that division, so in Colorado. So I mean, who's in that division that can use it?
Diamondbacks, Giants, Dodgers, Rockies.
I'm gonna go with the Giants.
They have Brandon Crawford, so I don't think they're moving off him. I know he's older, but
Stories could play some second. He could play some second. I think he would want to stay in that division for familiarity. And as for Baez, apparently the Mets are going to sign players because they have money. So, yeah, they got to keep him.
Yeah, I'm going to go – I think Correa's going to go to the Tigers because I think they're just going to throw the most money at him. So he's going to take that. I mean, he's already won his championship. Time to break the bank. Corey Seager to the Yankees. I think the Dodgers are going to move Trey Turner over to shortstop. And I think they're going to re-sign Chris Taylor to put it second. Trevor Story, I believe is going to go to the Astros and fill that hole for Carlos Correa. Um, who am I missing? Javi Baez, I think, is going to stay with the Mets. I think he likes being with Lindor. Give it a whole year at least, but he's going to get a max. He's going to get a huge extension. So, um, yeah, is that?
Yeah.
Am I missing anyone?
That's it for the interior infielders. So now we can move on to the corner guys. We got a couple former Chicago guys who won the championship for them back in 15. Chris Bryant and Rizzo. Bryant's I think Bryant's still got some great years ahead of him. Rizzo less, but he showed me something last year, and he's a lefty. And we also have Simeon. I forgot about Marcus Simeon, but we could talk about him because I actually think he's going to have a future at third base when he gets signed. Simeon and Freddie Freeman. So those are your corner infielders, couple first basemen, couple third basemen, in my opinion. Simeon had stayed healthy this year, so he's gonna want to break the bank, like a la Patrick Coleman when he had his healthy year in his soon to be free agency year a few years back. Simeon, what do you think? How do you feel about Simeon? What do you think his future is?
I think I mean, he's been like top three in the MVP for a couple of years now. I mean, he just keeps proving it. I wouldn't give him like a huge like long term deal because of his age, but I think he's a great player. I mean, playing second base this past year, like I think he had like 40 plus home runs, and from a second baseman, that's insane. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to find a market for him. I think he'll either end up. I think he'll end up in a big market. He might end up with the Red Sox, possibly, because they have a hole at second base. And they also might. The Red Sox are talking about moving Xander Bogaerts to the outfield. So, yeah. So I think the Red Sox are a good spot for him. I've heard the Angels, but I think the Angels need to be going all in on some pitching. They don't need another damn position player. Um, get Mike Trout to the playoffs, please. But yeah, I think Dodgers, Red Sox, those guys, like I think the Dodgers could do it. Have Trey Turner, Marcus Simeon as their up the middle infield. Um, so yeah, I think he's a really good player, and I think he's going to get like 5, 6 years. About I don't think he's too old to give a 10-year, 8-year deal to.
So usually when you say 5, 6, so that means he'll get his agent to talk up to 7. That's what for the 30-year-olds, they usually sign 7-year deals now. So like you said, 5 to 7 years, like probably 24 to $30 million per if he's lucky. Who do you like the most of the pure corner guys? Bryant, Rizzo, and Freeman, including value. Because I think Freddie Freeman's gonna go to. I think he's leaving Atlanta.
I yeah, I've seen notifications of the Yankees talking to Freddie Freeman. Nothing crazy, but yeah, I think he's going to stay with the Braves, man. I think he's put too much time in, and for him just to win a championship and be out, I think that's very uncharacteristic of him. Um, so yeah, I think he's staying with the Braves. But he's part of the question for the Yankees at least on what they're going to do at first base. Do you put DJ? Do you put DJ at first base? Do you put Luke Voigt? Do you bring back Anthony Rizzo, or do you sign someone else? Um, so it's a question mark. I don't think the Yankees are going to sign him at all, but it's an MVP caliber player. As long as he doesn't go to the AL East, he can go wherever he wants.
And Chris Bryant are we for sure? I'm gonna say that he's going to Philly. I bought into what you were saying a while back. I'm sure he's going to Philly to go play with Bryce Harper. Was that always in the stars?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, but I also love Chris Bryant's versatility. He's a great third baseman. He can play the outfield. I think that's a huge value an underrated value in the MLB is versatility because you can see some of these teams playing guys out of position and it shows. It shows that they don't know what they're doing. So for a high caliber player like Chris Bryant to be able to play third, to be able to play left, center if you need it, but he probably doesn't have the range of a center fielder. I think that's
Any injury
huge.
concerns?
Yeah, injury
Yeah.
concerns. But he's been an MVP in this league, and I think he's either going to stay with the Giants because that's close to Vegas. That's probably one of the closer teams to his home. or he's going to team. Or I agree, he's either going to team up with his lifelong buddy Bryce Harper, which would make the Phillies really dangerous, in my opinion.
That'd be a pretty monster heart of the lineup if you have Bryant behind Bryce Harper, or
Yeah,
whichever way they choose to
you
go
have
about that. That's how
Didi,
I would do that.
you have Didi, you have JT Realmuto. Like they're pretty deep as it is in position players, but the Phillies also need to address bullpen because that was a huge concern of theirs last year.
Okay, so lastly, I mean Rizzo. How much more great year is he going to get a 10-year deal, or does he have to settle for 7?
No, I don't think he's going to get a 10-year deal. What is he, like 32?
I think we've got him at 31. Yeah, 32, 32, 32.
32.
Correct.
So I think he's going to get like a four-year deal, get him to 36, 37. Um, apparently he really enjoyed his time in New York, but I just don't know if they're going to be willing to give him that money. And then it's like, where do you put DJ? Do you put DJ at third, and then Gio Urshela is off the field? And I just think there's too many questions on what you do if you bring back Anthony Rizzo. So I don't think he's going to re-sign. Sadly, I think the Red Sox are going to sign this man.
So that's why Eric, I actually heard that rumor recently, and that's why he's not leaving. I don't think he's leaving the Yankees. I think that's out in the air to make the push to keep him. I think they'll give him a 75% of what they gave DJ LeMahieu when he was a free agent, and I think they plug him at first. They plug LeMahieu at third or second, and they trade away Voit, Gio, and or Daryl. They figure out which 2 of the 3 to shed cap and get some younger assets back, or maybe into one big asset if somebody wants all 3, and then they move along with Rizzo. He's lefty. It's what they need. They traded for him for a reason. They're gonna want to show that they traded for Rizzo and Gallows to get a couple good years out of them at worst, just to prove that they didn't waste that trade, those assets.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Any other guys? No, I think we can move to outfielders now.
Yep.
So any outfielders that draw your attention? I know I put a bonus for all the guys in Atlanta, but I think a lot of those guys are going to cash out and get some money in the free agency market this year.
Yeah,
For those Chicago White Sox, San Diego Padres, Red Sox, like looking for one more piece to get a young team over the top. I think that's what I'm pretty sure that Jorge Soler is going to go to the White Sox. I think that's where he fit perfectly. And, they've got the new universal DH coming in. So a lot of these NL teams are going to be trying to get their hands on some DHs. So I like Jorge Soler to the White Sox, but I like Jock Peterson to the San Diego Padres a lot better.
Yeah, and there's also I think you missed the best outfielder on the market. Nick Castellanos is a free agent for the Cincinnati Reds. I have no earthly idea where he's going to go, but I know he's going to get paid because he deserves it. He's been the past 3 seasons, he's been one of the better outfielders in the league, and he's been rotting in Cincinnati. So
after rotting in Detroit for a little.
Yeah. So I think he's going to want to go to a contender. He's going to want to win. So who needs outfield help? I mean, I don't know. He might.
I need to know. I don't know what his price is. I don't know what his price is because the Yankees might be in for him if they know that they're going to be moving on from Judge if they could get a nicer 7-year, 24 per type of deal. So that's what I would say about that because he's a utility. He's a better Chris Taylor in my opinion. A good utility outfielder. Every championship quality team needs a guy like that. So
what I'm seeing online is around 5 years, 115.
And if that's discounted losing Aaron Judge money. If you think about it, we can't keep Aaron Judge, but we have Stan who does Judge things and he can help with other things on the Yankees, bringing that speed and athleticism.
The website I'm on right now has him going to the Padres.
Really? I think they're going to make a splash, but I think if they went and got Jock Peterson, they'd fulfill a different type of leadership role that they need on their team. So that's why I went with that. And they've spent a lot of money. They could go out and spend on another good player, but I think they need proven winners that bring that mentality to their locker room to help their young players, because they don't have a lot of winners in their locker room right now. So that's why. What about Michael Conforto? Is he coming from the A's? Was he
No,
on the
he's from the
A's?
Mets. From the Mets.
Mets?
Yeah, he's a good player. I don't think he's going to be getting a crazy deal. A crazy deal done. I'm trying to see. I thought Eric Hosmer got cut from the Padres.
I don't know if that ever became official.
Let me see.
They might have bought him out though.
Because if he's not, I think Anthony Rizzo would be a perfect fit in San Diego.
That'd be yeah, a lefty bat. I can always see that. I can always see. Let me see, Eric Hosmer. Nah, he's still. I think they're trying to work on a way to buy him out and or trade him.
Yeah, because they need leadership in that clubhouse. Like Tatis and Machado should not be your leaders at all.
Yeah. And like Jock Peterson, an outfield first baseman type, like he fills some need. He can hit. He can do some DH stuff, and he's been on 2 of the last 3 champions. So like I like that. I like Jorge Soler a lot to the White Sox. That sounds great. Any other outfielder? Not a lot of great outfielders this year.
Yeah, it's a shortstop class this year.
Yeah. And pitching wise, who you like?
Obviously, we already had Justin Verlander sign a 1-year, $25 million with the Astros. We have Max Scherzer. We have Max Scherzer, who I think is going to break the record for average per year. I think he's going to get like a 2-year, like 80 million or something like that. He's old. He's older. He's like 37, I believe. So he's going to get one of those like 2 to 3 years, like 100 and like if it's 3 years, he's getting like 120 million. You're just trying to empty that tank. Obviously, in the playoffs, he had to miss a start in the NLCS because he was tired, which I don't blame him. I mean, he was lights out for the Dodgers all year. So I think they overworked him a little bit in the regular season, but they were trying to catch the Giants the whole season. So they were trying to get out of that wild card. So it kind of came back to bite them. But yeah, he's going to be elite. I've always had a feeling he was going back to the Nationals. But I think he's going to sign with the Dodgers again. And because I think he liked it out there. LA is obviously better than DC.
I think they're the only team that can afford him.
Yeah.
That's my reason.
Pretty much.
I think they're the only team that can afford him, and I think they need him.
Yeah.
What about Robbie Ray?
He's going to get paid. Cy Young, I think he's going to stay with the Blue Jays just because they need him, really. I know they extended Luis Barrios like 7 years, I believe, but I don't think Barrios is a solid 2. He's not quite at ace level yet. So I think they need to bring him back for like 5 years, like $120, $130 million. And try to keep building on that Blue Jays because they're kind of in a win now. Blue Jays because eventually you're going to have to pay Bubba Chet. You're going to have to pay Vlad Jr. You're going to have to pay all these young guys, and you already have Springer on the books. You already got that contract, and if you do this one, you're going to have one there. But you need to try to win now so you can win. It's kind of like in the NFL, win with a quarterback on a rookie deal. Like you gotta win when you have at least some. You've
seen it with the tank when your young core is at its best, and you have money, because when you have to pay those guys the money, there goes the money. So how do you feel about Strowman versus Rendon?
Who?
Marcus Strowman versus Carlos Rendon.
I would take Carlos Rendon over Marcus Strowman. Just because I think the Rendon has a higher ceiling, but Marcus Simeon. I mean, not Marcus Simeon. Marcus Strowman has a higher floor. So I think you know what you're getting out of Strowman, but Rendon's like height is bigger than his, but Rendon has injury history as well. Um, so yeah, I would love the Yankees to sign Rendon to add to that depth of pitching for the Yankees. Hold on, I'm looking up other pitchers right now. Yeah, no, Syndergaard signed with the Angels. I need his agent. I need Noah Syndergaard's agent. You pitch 2 innings in 2 years, and you get $21 million for next year.
It's a 1 year prove it deal. It's a 1 year
Um,
prove it deal.
but yeah, you also have Zach Greinke, who's a free agent. Um,
Do you think any of the LA Dodgers pitchers get out of town? Kershaw or Jensen?
I think Kershaw's a Dodger for life. Jensen might. I think the Dodgers have like a deep enough bullpen to where they can finally be like, "Thank you, Jensen. Thank you for all the years.
And the
Appreciate
chokes.
you."
I agree.
Um,
I think Kershaw stays no matter what, and I think Jensen gets sniped up by the Boston Red Sox.
yeah. So, yeah. I mean,
And then
we've already seen the Tigers spend money signing Eduardo Rodriguez. Get him out of Boston, please. So yeah, I mean they threw the bag at him. They threw 5 years, 77 million at him, which I think is overpaying. But with the Tigers right now, you have to overpay a little bit to get good players there.
so yeah, so I guess lastly we'll go with the last sneaky position. As we know, universal DH is coming in. We got two of the best DHs in the league on the market: Kyle Schwarber and Mr. Nelson Cruz. Which one would you prefer? Because I think I would prefer Nelson Cruz in the clutch still.
I think I would take Jorge Soler just on age, and he can play the field. Like he can actually play the field if you need it. So like his versatility is way, way higher than Nelson Cruz.
That's why I left him out. That's why I only went with that's why I only said Schwarber and Nelson, because Jorge is a steal. Like he can still, like you said, he can still play the field. So like, but we know Schwarber and Nelson, they're only going to be.
I would take Schwarber. Schwarber, absolutely.
Because of his lefty power.
I've seen him hit too many postseason home runs not to pick that man. So yeah, I mean I love Schwarber. I mean, just go back to when the Cubs won the World Series. Like he didn't play all year. He was just rehabbing, and then comes back for the World Series and just kills it. So that's a kind of guy that I want, that like is just locked in all the time on the goal. So Nelson Cruz is also like 50. So
41. But I think he's going back to Houston, Texas. I think he's going back to the Rangers.
Really?
I think he'll fit good there. But yeah, I guess that's it for this. I mean, we'll just wait. The lockout might happen, so who knows how this offseason will be.
Yeah, so like there'll be a little frenzy before December 1st, but the CBA ends on December 1st. So some of the lower tier guys are probably going to want to sign before that to know they have a salary, to like know what they're going to have. So
all right, though. I'll catch you though, Eric.
All right, bro.